Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. I had a bit of a rocky start to 2025 because I had gotten sick, but I did ring in the new year by watching Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. Now, I thought that this film has so much to unpack and so much to digest that I thought, why not do a video about it and invite one of my very good friends, Jillian, on the channel to give us her thoughts and opinions about the film. We also had a great yap session about vampires in general. I met Jillian some time ago online through our mutual love of the band Ghost, and we've been guesties ever since. So I can't wait to introduce her to you all and share our thoughts and opinions about Nosferatu. Here's how our conversation went. But I just want to thank you in general because you made me so excited to see Nosferatu. Like, you just kept posting about it, and I wasn't honestly, I wasn't like super into it. Like, I do like goth stuff, I do like the macabre, but I was like, I don't get it until you were just like posting and posting and I'm gonna go see this movie, and you were starting to, I think, even watch the original, right? Like the old school ones. I was like, oh, Jillian really likes it, so maybe I'll like it too. So yeah,
Well, I'm happy it didn't disappoint.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So what made you really excited to see this movie?
you know, I was thinking about this today. I am much more of like a werewolf girly than I am a
Really?
vampire girly. So
Oh.
I think it was just a mixture of finally there's a movie in the theaters that looks really good. I'm a huge Aaron Taylor Johnson fan. Huge Bill Skarsgård fan,
Yes.
and I really have enjoyed Eggers' work. Although I
Hmm.
haven't seen The Lighthouse, but
Me
everything
neither.
else I've seen and I've liked.
Hmm.
Um, so I think just a mixture of all of that. When I started to see a trailer for it, I'm like, sign me up, let me go see this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like,
I
I,
didn't know you were a werewolf
yeah.
girly at all.
Oh, yes. Yes. Way more than vampires, but this film
Interesting.
scratched an itch for like everything I love combined. So,
Hmm. That's cool. I like you were saying, like the first like really good movie in a long time, at least for me. Like, I'm tired of Marvel. Everything else seems like really
yes.
cheap. And I was like, oh,
Ah.
this is like a nice change of pace. I am here for this.
Mhm.
And now we can
Mhm.
technically say it's a Christmas movie. It's like, yes,
It
finally a goth
is.
Christmas movie. There's a
Yeah.
Christmas tree in the
Hell yeah,
movie.
dude.
And
Yeah.
Anna,
And
Anna was all like,
I
please, it's Christmas time. Please hold your craziness till after the holidays.
yes. Yeah, we just got back from viewing it for the 14th time
Girl,
from
super fan over here.
honestly, at this point it's like how many times can I watch it? Let's like just try to beat it.
Hmm.
And I'm sure my husband is sick of me because now in the theaters I'll like bump him and I'll just look at him dead in the eye in the theater and just recite whatever they're saying because I've seen it so many times
I
and
love it.
he's like, please leave me alone.
It's like, please stop. No, the first time I saw it, I started doing the voice and I'm like, yes, and doing all the deep thing and
Yes.
the lines, oh my God, the dialogue. Oh, but since you're
Yeah.
more of a werewolf girly, where did kind of your other fascination for vampires begin? If it wasn't as strong, did it start earlier? Was it a little later since you were like more of a werewolf fan?
Yeah, I would say, I'm pretty sure it was 2004, but the 2004 classic of Van Helsing really captivated everything dark and macabre and
Hmm.
spooky and beautiful about Gothic anything.
Uh-huh.
So ever since then, I've been smitten by the world. And you and I are pretty much the same age. I mean, do you remember those books that were like dragonology, Egyptology,
Yes, I
fairyology?
had some.
Vampirology. Like we had all the
Uh-huh.
books growing up. So I just love stuff like that.
Hmm.
I love it. What about you?
So I think I was a little bit different though, although I had the Egyptology books and all those giant encyclopedias. I was raised a little more Christian, so I wasn't as exposed to like anything Halloween or Gothic. I want to say really the first vampire I was exposed to were the Twilight vampires, which was
Hell
like a
yeah.
cult teenage thing. They're very
Yes.
sparkly. And then that's all that I
Yeah.
knew for the longest time. So seeing this movie, Nosferatu, was so exciting because it's so different from what we're typically used to seeing. And I'm like, oh, yes. Like,
Hell yeah.
and so from there, from Twilight, I kind of branched off to like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which they're still
Love
pretty.
Buffy
Yes,
so much.
they're still pretty, but they're kind of still kind of ugly. And then I started watching
Mhm.
True Blood. I was like, okay, yes, I like this.
Mm.
And then it's been a minute since I've seen any kind of gothic or vampire looking movie, other
Yeah.
than, Interview with the Vampire. I remember seeing that one
Mhm.
with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. And then
Tom
I started
Cruise.
getting into the show a little bit more recently. So it's all kind of new, as far as like
Mhm.
late teenage, early adulthood till now. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up just watching Veggie Tales. I mean, that was like my Christian
dude,
upbringing. Love Veggie
yes,
Tales. Silly
yes,
songs with Larry will
yeah.
always slap. But yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is great. I also remember reading all the Twilight books and
Mm-hmm,
my older sisters being really into Twilight. But
mm-hmm,
yeah, I've always loved the dark side of like human nature and stuff like that. So I think that mixed with being a really big metalhead at a very young age
mm-hmm.
really exposed me to that world. But I was having this discussion with a friend, and like my number one horror anything are zombies. They beat out
Oh,
vampires and werewolves and everything. So
mm-hmm,
I think one of the reasons I really love Robert Eggers' take on vampirism is not only is it drawn from folklore, but it's also like dark and demented. Like
yes.
one of my favorite werewolf movies is Benicio del Toro in the 2010 Wolfman
I have not
because
seen
it's
it.
Victorian. Oh my God, Andy! Oh, you
You're gonna
gotta
send
watch
me.
it.
Okay.
Benicio del Toro, I love him.
Mm-hmm,
And his transformation, I think that's why I like werewolves more than vampires, is because it's painful, it's haunting, it's grueling, and I feel like this take of Nosferatu meets those requirements for me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it has a zombie aspect to it as well. Like I like that he's rotting. It seems
Yes.
tormenting, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's one of the first things I noticed. I was like, bro, sounds like he's dying the whole time. That death
Yeah.
rattle, that sound effect was so present in the movie. And I was like, I like this. Like I said, like I'm so used to seeing vampires so glamorized, so romantic,
Yes.
which if you feel romantic about Nosferatu, that's you. That's cool. But to
Yeah.
me, I like how he's dead, basically. Like he's
Hmm.
rotting and gross.
Yeah.
What other parts of the movie did you really like, or did you have any like critiques about the movie? Since you've seen it so many times, I'm sure you've
Yes.
noticed like so many different things.
I have actually I love this film. Okay. Cinematography is beautiful and that was never something that I would doubt coming from Robert Eggers because of
Mm-hmm.
his past films. They're all just beautiful. Um, I have quite a few critiques about the film, and I'm really hoping that the 3 hour extended version that's coming out on DVD
Yeah.
fixes the issues I have. Um, First and foremost, I feel as if the plague rats were underutilized. Like, I
Okay.
just felt really let down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like there's this one video game that I love, and I wasn't expecting anything like this, but it's called A Plague's Tale. And they have like it's set in France during plague times about like Antichrist being reborn and blah blah blah. But there's like
Mm-hmm.
actual rat tornadoes and like the rats are actually like an enemy that you have to fight in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I was expecting rat tornadoes, but I was really hoping because they just kept saying, we used 2,000 rats in this film. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God,
heard
we used so
5,000
many rats.
rats.
5,000 rats. And we only see them like scurrying and like that's it.
It's like, are the rats in
Like
the room with us?
right.
Yeah.
Um I remember talking about this with a friend, but spoiler alert, spoiler
Mm.
alert, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, when he goes into the crypt of his dead family and he has a really passionate moment with his dead wife, I
Hmm.
was really hoping that, like, a scene from Alien with the monster, like the alien coming out of her chest. I would have loved if a rat popped out and, like, I don't know, just something crazy. Uh, that was one critique I had. Another one was I don't know if Emma Corrin was the correct choice of actor to
Okay.
play Anna.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's them or if it's how the character is written itself. Like, I was not getting a loving friendship between Ellen and Anna. I was
Hmm.
not, it didn't seem deep. It didn't
Yeah.
seem like it just felt like there could have been more. Like in Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula of 1992, between Lucy and totally forgot her name, Mina. You can really see a friendship, a sisterhood. I mean, there is like romantic themes between them as well. It's all layered, but like in this film, it just fell so flat.
Hmm.
Um, so that was another critique I had. But did you have any critiques before we move on to what we loved about it?
I know. I would say similar things. Emma, the character of Anna. I feel like the theme of this for my critiques would be context. Because I feel like you and
Yes.
I are similar in the way of we like lore, we like background, we like
Yes, give me all
meat,
the lore.
So I don't know if it would have served the movie correctly unless it was an extended edition. Oh, let's see a little
Yes.
more. Where did this friendship begin? How much care did she really stick up for Ellen? Because it was kind of lost. I don't think it's anything on Emma because I've seen Emma in The Crown. She played a young or
They were
Diana.
great in The Crown.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Like I love them so much. But yeah, it just needed some context. And also I would be so interested to know more of Ellen's background, to see those background scenes back, in the
Yes.
past, her mother. Why did her mother die? And I just had this thought today. I was like, was her mother also a sensitive? Like that would have been so cool. Cause
Oh,
that's like a thing, right? Women that are, oh, she's has melancholy or something's wrong with her. It's kind of passed down like this spiritual
yeah,
side.
it is.
Um, yeah, so I just wanted some more context, which I think if there is ever a novelization of this film, please put the lore in there. Even the lore of Orlok. I would like to know his
Sure.
whole story. Like, how did he end up a
Yes.
corpse? Like, how did he end up Nosferatu? Because he's so interesting. It's just him
Oh, yeah.
himself. But yeah, those were the only
Um,
critiques I had was just, I want to know more background story information. Because everything else,
yeah.
beautifully shot. Oh, my favorite scenes are the ones that kind of pan, 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 and it builds up like a scary movie that I'm used to,
Yes.
but then nothing kind of happens, and it's very gentle in the way it's done, and I'm like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of that, I've watched so many like behind the scenes crap for this film, I'm telling you. And they all said Robert Eggers gave them each like a giant pamphlet on the lore of their characters. And I'm like, I need to
You
read these, please. Um, but oh yeah, another critique I had, I feel like Dr. Severs
mm-hmm.
fell so flat for me, and I think it was a waste of Ralph Ineson's talent. Like,
Hmm.
I think I preferred the Doctor from Bram Stoker's Dracula of 1992, like the
Mm-hmm.
kookiness. I would have preferred if he was a little more, because Victorians had some weird medical practices.
Yeah.
And I know they showed the needle going through her arm. I know they tied
Mm-hmm.
her up. I know, you have to wear a corset. Let's bleed her out. I
Bleed her
kind of
out.
would have preferred if they showed some of that. Like
Okay, yeah.
maybe, I don't know if Victorians did leeches, but let's throw it, I wanted him to be a little kookier than he actually was, or like a little darker. I don't know.
See, I think if he was more kookier, would he have taken away from the Franz character? Like since he was the one that was
Yes.
into all the mystical and the occult, and he was actually sticking her with a needle. So I love that
Yes.
he had those moments because oh, I love William Dafoe in this movie. He was just
Me
perfect.
too. Oh,
Perfect.
he has such a comfort about him, even if he's playing a like kooky character. I have a few favorite scenes. One of them is the cinematography of Thomas in the Carpathian Alp, the crossroads. That
Hmm.
scene with the snow coming down and the lighting, and oh my God, and he gets onto the carriage. I absolutely loved how that scene was shot, and it was all using science of lighting. Like there was a behind the scenes, so none of it was green screen. Like it was actually
What?
in the forest,
Wow.
which blew my mind.
Nah.
But uh, I noticed this like the third time I watched it that it is an actual four-way crossroads. And it reminded me of one of my favorite musical artists, Robert Johnson, who
Hmm.
sold his soul to the devil. So he's the guy who started that whole thing. He has a song called like I went to the crossroads. And it instantly reminded me of that. I was like,
Hmm.
he's at the crossroads and he's about ready to meet the devil.
Oh yeah.
So loved that scene.
Hmm.
Um, and another scene I love. And this just goes to show how wonderful of an actor Nicholas Hoult is. And it's when Count Orlok was like, "Take heed, come by the fire. Your face sees you unwell." And he's like,
That was a
he's
nice
so sweet.
scene. I don't know. I was
Loved
watching.
it.
There's a statue right there by the fireplace, and I don't know if it was just me.
Yes,
It looks like it's
he
turning to him.
moved.
I was like, oh, it's getting creepy. That was
I
so
love
you
that.
you can really feel the intensity in all the scenes with
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult. Like he is going through it, poor boy. He
Yes.
doesn't even know
Yes.
what's going on. Another scene I wanted to mention is that whole villager scene. I really feel it was all like a
Oh,
hallucination because he
yes.
wakes up the next morning, everybody's gone. There's not even animals. I was like, they've probably been gone, long gone. It's just all in his head, and Orlok
Yeah.
was doing his thing.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, there was so many. You could really feel the panic and paranoia, um, which I'm only comparing this to Coppola. I'm pretty sure it was Coppola who directed like the 1992 Dracula.
Hmm.
Um, this is why I prefer this version of Nosferatu is you could really feel it's uneasy and it's disorienting. I liked that the audience didn't know how Thomas got from the table to in front of the fire. Like, even he himself seems disoriented and panicked
Yeah.
and scared.
Hmm.
Um, and I prefer that. Like, a lot of people, as much as I love context and I want background and I want lore, I like little bits like that are just choppy because it
Hmm.
makes the viewer almost be in his shoes. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, how did I get here?
Or like people like us that we've seen this stuff before, we're like really into ghosts and things. It's like, we know this is an
Yes.
evil character. He's got some kind of supernatural. Things are not always going to be like cut and dry. You're just going to slip into the madness.
Oh, yeah. And
It's-
I want to give a big shout out to Air Canuck because Simon McBurney put his whole McBurnessy into this film. His character, I loved him. And I'm curious, and I was thinking about this after all 800 times that I've seen this film. Do you think that his character was into the occult beforehand, like calling out into the void, and
Mhm.
then Orlok answered back? Or do you think Orlok got in touch with him and then put him under a spell?
I was thinking about that the very first time I watched it, and then I kind of rewatched it again. I was like, at first I thought, oh no, he was already in cahoots. He was already into all this stuff. And then the second time I was like, no, I think Orlok kind of reached out and influenced. Once he heard his little pretty bride was getting married, he was like, oh no, do what I gotta do to mess this guy up, you know? I think he picked him after the fact. I don't think Ernok he wasn't into the occult before. That's just what I think.
Interesting. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I love, and this is the part of me where I'm like, Mr. Eggers, let a brother know everybody's character sheets. I need to read them.
What I was gonna say, slipping into the madness, one of my favorite scenes is Ellen going into her possession things when Franz is there.
Yes.
Oh my God. I had told you this before, but when I was watching this scene unfold, I could feel my smile going up because I was just
Yeah.
like in awe of her and in awe of this choice of how she was acting in this like setting. And I was like, this looks like The Exorcist. This looks like a modern like
Yes.
horror possession, but it's not. And when her voice changes and she gets all crazy with her eyes, I'm like, oh my God, girl, you're killing it. And the other second scene where she's like challenging Thomas, it was like, you can't love me good. And she goes all psycho and crazy. I was like, oh my God, Queen. I love her. I love those scenes, are
Yes.
some of my favorites. And then one of my other favorite scenes is when she finally comes face to face with Orlok in the bedroom and they're having this back and forth. Oh, the dialogue on this one. And he was like, you are my affliction. She goes, I care not for your
I care nothing
afflictions.
of afflictions.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that whole scene. It's like, talk back
Oh
to
my
him. You talk
God.
back to him.
I can quote that scene verbatim. Like, I can feel you crawling like a serpent in my body. That is not me. That is your nature. I love it.
That whole scene made me think about Orlok as this Nosferatu, this vampire, his motives, because I was only frame of reference I have are the pretty vampires that I want to fall in love with, right? Like in media.
Yes.
So most
Yes.
of these, like Twilight, True Blood, yes, they have this need to drink blood, but that's also very romantic. Not that Nosferatu does
Hmm.
not have romantic tendencies, but Orlok is very animalistic. Like he was saying, I am an
Yes.
appetite. And I thought that was so interesting. He's just being a wolf. He's just an animal. He's just drinking. He just needs the sustenance. It's very different, like the motivations I noticed.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, I wrote a little review on this for Letterboxd and I shared it with friends, but it's really like feeding your demons. That's how
Mhm.
I viewed this. And, he will never be sated until he consumes you wholly. He even said that to
Mm.
her,
Yeah.
um, which I think is super interesting take on it. That's what I appreciate about this film and Gothic horror in general is that there's so many nuances.
Mhm.
There's so many different takes that a lot of the internet has taken from this film. And I enjoy that art should be subjective and everybody has their own opinion. And
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, speaking of Lily Rose Depp for a second, I was so curious. I'd never seen her in anything else, but
Me
she
either.
is a Nepo baby, which is
Mhm.
not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm like, let's see if she inherited talent. And she did. And
Yeah.
I'm I love her in this film. And I also want to give her a shout out because she is a yapper. And all of the behind the scenes stuff, she just talks and talks and talks. And it's so nice as like a fan of something for her to just be like, oh yeah, I read this book. I watched these movies. Robert Eggers told me to brush up on this, this, and this. And like, she was just so in depth with everything.
Mhm.
And I loved that. She did amazing.
It sounds like everybody was heavily invested in this project and the great
Yes.
care that was taken into the performances, the shoots, the costumes, the animals, everything
Oh,
just kind of
beautiful.
beautiful black
Wonderful.
bow on this
Yes.
film. So the next section I wanted to us to dive into is like how can we compare Orlok to other vampires of media that we've seen? We've kind of got into a little bit of it, like he's kind of like an animal. But
Mhm.
are there certain favorite vampires in media that you have other than Orlok, if he's not
Oh
a favorite?
man. I love him. Um, I really enjoy Barlow from Salem's Lot. And I'll specifically say the 1970s miniseries,
Hmm.
uh, which is like the opus eponymous cover. That's Salem's
Okay.
Lot. I think he has the best vampire makeup I've ever seen. And that even includes Count Orlok in the 2024 version.
Okay.
Um, I would definitely recommend watching the miniseries. They made a new one last year, and
Hmm.
Peace and Love, it's like a total stinker, in my opinion. But his makeup so iconic. I absolutely love it. And also Van Helsing. I mean, that
Hmm.
whole movie was serving. It was serving. I loved how dramatic Count Dracula is. And I just loved how theatrical, Shakespearean, you know, Shakespearean pain. I really do
Hmm.
enjoy that about Dracula specifically and anything that he's depicted in. Um, like very heartsick and I do enjoy Gary Oldman's version of
Hmm.
Dracula, but it's a little too romantic for me. I enjoyed the pain. I don't know if you can tell.
They need to be emo.
Yes, they have
Yes.
to. But I was never a fan of Edward Cullen. I will say that. I
Yeah.
what's his brother's name? The big hunky one.
Oh, I forgot. It's
Yeah,
Rosalie
no, not Jasper.
and
Uh,
oh my
Emmett?
God. Emmett. Emmett.
Yeah,
It's Emmett.
Smash.
Yes. Yes.
I
Okay.
do like
The
him.
smash.
He's
Swipe
fun.
right.
Um, I'm trying to think of any others. How about you?
Well, the first one comes to mind is Spike from Buffy. Like he was like my number one for like a
Oh my
very
God,
long
number
time.
one, hands down, Spike. That one wins. I
Torture. If
love
you want to talk about
Spike.
tortured
I
soul
love
poet, because he was
him.
a poet before.
Yes.
Yes, that was Endgame. I'm sorry, I never really cared for Angel and Buffy.
Angel is a fart. Okay. Goodbye, Angel. You got your spinoff. Goodbye. Spike, Spuffy forever.
Yes. Who else do I like? Bill Skarsgård's older brother in True Blood, Alexander,
Yeah.
as Eric Northman. I love just like his broodiness. I mean, I haven't seen it in so long, so I was watching some clips yesterday. I was like,
Mhm.
I just like him. I just think he's pretty. I think that's what it is.
And
That's
that's
what it
valid
is.
enough.
Yeah. And then I was like, I love Count Orlok because he's so different. He's just what I feel maybe a true vampire should be. It's
Yes.
a this folkloric undead person that's just out there feasting on people. Can we just
Hmm.
shout out to the Capri Sun thing that you said the other day? He's sucking on that boy. The sound effects were just glorious. Um,
Oh my God. Yeah.
my other favorite vampire is kind of like two people play him. Lestat. The first time I ever got introduced to Lestat was through Tom Cruise in the 1992 movie Interview with the Vampire. He's such a brat. He's such a jerk. And I love the way Tom Cruise
Yes.
plays him. And I always joke, half seriously, it's like, I think that's my favorite Tom Cruise movie out of everything he's ever done.
It's his best one.
It's his best one. But then I saw the show, and Sam Reed, who plays Lestat, just ups the ante,
Oh, yes.
just makes him so
Yes.
much more dramatic. And right now I'm currently reading Interview with the Vampire, which we both know is really hard
Good
to
luck.
get through. Good luck, yeah. So yes, Lestat would probably be one of my top vampires just because he's flamboyant, he's annoying, he's really a piece of work in the book. So I really appreciate Tom Cruise and
Yeah.
Sam Reed just giving new life to him. So he would definitely be one of my favorite vampires. I don't know, I really enjoy his craziness. Compared to Louis, he's
Yeah.
always crying.
I tried to read the book. It was not for me, but the TV show is so beautifully done. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Like I visited New Orleans last year, and I
Ooh.
wished it was like the show.
It was not pretty. It
So
was not great.
no, 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 no. Peace and love. It's all
Oh,
peace and love.
mhm.
I, I won't get into it, but I did go to a bar and drink a blood bag. So that was a highlight.
Like a vampiric bar.
Vampire, yes, it was a lot of fun. That
Ooh.
part.
Were there any other type of occult or shops dedicated to vampires? Any type of restaurants? Or it's more like other types of voodoo stuffs.
There was actually a lot of little clothing stores or like little like that's where I found the one ghost shirt that
Oh
nobody had seen
yeah.
before.
I remember
That's where
that.
I found that. But there was like a lot of hole in the wall shops like that, which were a lot of fun. But as far as restaurants, we didn't eat anywhere there. Like we had beignets, um,
Oh.
and that was nice. But other than that, we really did not go inside because we wanted to leave. Like we just walked around and we were like, we're
It's like I
done.
just want to look.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess like the home of vampires would be like Transylvania, Count Orlok type of
Yes, I would
atmospheric.
love to go there.
Yes. Another thing that I noted about the movie, it must have been really, I don't know where they shot. Maybe you know, like it just looked really cold. I don't know, like I would love to be there, but not for very long. I don't do well in the cold.
Yeah. I heard that some shots were in Canada, which I'm kind of assuming is that like he's in the forest, like the crossroads shot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Mm-hmm.
feeling that one was in Canada. I'm not positive, but I know some of it was filmed in the Czech Republic and
Oh,
some of the castles like in Romania and Hungary. Um, I would love to do like a whole tour of Eastern Europe because it's
that'd be
just so the
so
culture is
cool.
so beautiful and
Mm-hmm.
cool and architecture is really nice. Um, so yeah, I'd like to I wish on IMDb it would say where each shot was shot, but it doesn't yet.
It's like Orlok was standing right here. Kind of those moments. It's
I
like,
know.
this rat
Yes.
was right here. So could you like do like a top four, top five vampires that you really like?
Oh man. Yeah, I could
They don't
do
have to
yeah,
be,
yeah,
yeah.
I could do that. Um just for nostalgia's sake, and I'm so happy you brought him up. Number one will always be Spike because I love Spike's character so much. It's like so Billy Idol, and I love Billy
Oh
Idol.
yeah.
Um, the 2024 Count Orlok,
Mm-hmm.
love him. I love his look. I love the mustache. I love the Ushanka, the hat, the leopard print coat. Oh
Styling
my
and
God, I love all of it.
profiling.
Yes, he was serving. Um, um, Barlow would be my number three because I think that is objectively for me the best vampire makeup in the world. I love it
Mhm.
so much. Four, I
Dun,
don't
dun, dun.
know. Those are my top three.
Yeah, I was
I don't
having
know
a
the
hard
rest.
time thinking about which ones. I was like, there's vacancy for my top five.
Yes.
There's some spots open if anybody else comes around. But yes, I agree with you. Spike is probably like a number one pick, or Locke for the basically the same reasons. He's
Mhm.
so different. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that I don't want to run away with him. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, you're just a creature. You're a monster. And how he personifies Ellen's like if it's her passion, her dark side. That was another thing I loved about that film. So thank you
Mhm.
for that. Who else? Oh, Eric Northman from True Blood. Who else? Oh, of course, Lestat. Yes, there is this vacancy for maybe a top five
Yeah,
vampire.
maybe Count Dracula in Van Helsing because I do enjoy that he has a human form and a bat form. I think that's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Um, but I was gonna say something and I totally forgot. What were you saying? Because you said something and it jogged my memory to say something.
I don't know, but
Oh
I have
man.
something I was going to ask you because it is vampire related.
Yes.
Did you ever get around to seeing Midnight Mass?
No, not yet. And I've
You sh-
been wanting to because that director is directing the new Exorcist film, which comes out in April.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
should
my
watch
friend
it.
Megan.
It's different.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if you'll be a fan of like the end result, but it's like an interesting take, a small town, kind of dark vibes, like what's going on. I love the thriller mystery side of it. It'd be
Me
interesting.
too.
Plus, it's
Oh
centered
yeah,
around a priest, a tortured priest. So I know you're a
ah,
fan of
love we know, yeah.
that.
Ghost, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention. I like oh God. Bill Skarsgård was in this vampire TV series,
Yes, dude,
Hemlock Grove.
I was gonna bring that up too. I was gonna ask you about it. That was one
My
of the
friend
first
Shelly
things
told me to watch it. And I've been watching it.
Yes. What do you think so far?
It's it's a little corny, I'll give it that, but I do enjoy that aspect of like modern day vampires. Are you into playing Dungeons and Dragons at all? Like, have you ever played the tabletop role play games?
I think once upon a time a long time ago, somebody tried to get me to do a Star Wars role playing game. And I don't
Oh
have the
yeah.
patience. I don't have the patience or the attention span.
Understandable. Well, there's this whole series called Vampire the Masquerade, and it's a role-playing game where you do play. There's like different breeds of vampires. I have not played it in such a long time, but there is like a Nosferatu kind, and they're so
Ooh.
disfigured and creepy. But it's a very political game, and it's set in modern day. Um,
Oh.
so it's very interesting. There's a few video games if you ever just want to watch somebody play it,
Hmm.
but there's like different personality types on how you become a vampire. There's different breeds of vampires. So I enjoy the aspect of looking at these monsters from like a modern perspective and how
Hmm.
they would go about their day to day and like try and gain influence, try and take over the world. Um,
Yeah.
so I enjoy that. I do enjoy that, but
Hmm.
I prefer Count Orlok style. I like demented. I want it to be an actual curse. Like it's
Yeah.
not a fun thing
Hmm.
to have. But yeah, Hemlock Grove is a trip so far.
Yeah. It was like, I think one of the first things I ever saw Bill Skarsgård in. And
Really?
I know it ends, I think there's only 2 seasons. So I know it did not get
Mm.
continued. And I did notice, like, yeah, it's a little corny. The writing could have been better. Like, as you go through it, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you're going to start noticing that. It's just like, I don't know what they were trying to do. It was cool. There's aspects of it that are cool. Like, I love
Hmm.
Shelley. Oh, she's so cool. I love her. You know,
Oh
they could have
yeah.
done so much more, but I feel like, and it just needs better writers. I don't know what was going on at the time, but yeah, I had thought about that. I was like, I'm gonna ask Jillian, and I'm so happy you brought it up because I
Yes.
literally forgot about it.
Anything Bill Skarsgård is in, I've just been on a kick with with watching, and shout out to him because he's just grown so much.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I am really happy that he has this passion to bring monsters to life. Like, as I love the new It films. Not, I'm
Hmm.
going to go on a side tangent. I love the new It films. I prefer Tim Curry's clown more than Bill's, but you could really tell just the leap from Pennywise to Orlok. Like,
Hmm.
he just really puts his whole self into it. I mean, even taking opera lessons to deepen his voice
Yes.
for Orlok. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Hmm. Well, I just I'm still in awe of that movie. Like, I'm just happy it came
Yeah.
out, and I have seen The Witch, and so I was like, oh, let me see what this movie is going to be about. And I probably wouldn't have not have seen it if you hadn't been so excited about it. So thanks.
You're
I'm
welcome.
just I just loved it so much. And yeah, I think if that's going to wrap it up for us, I did want to give you a
Yeah.
shout out because you're awesome and I really appreciate you being here. And I wanted to shout out your channel and your podcast, Into the Catacombs. If y'all are listening,
Oh,
watching
thank
out
you.
there, Jillian has her own channel, her own Instagram account for her podcast. Y'all go check that out. I will link it for you down below. Also, I believe you're still running the Nosferatu giveaway on that Instagram account,
I
right?
am.
Yes. If you guys
Yes.
are want to jump in on that, do you want to explain kind of the prizes that you have for that?
Of course, I obtained the infamous, or it's not really infamous, the famous popcorn bucket of Count Orlok's coffin. I have one of those. I threw in two free posters that I got from my local movie theater
Nice.
of Willem Dafoe's character and Emma Corrin's character. They are double-sided, so Count Orlok is on the back.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Good.
yes, I was so happy my theater had that. But I also snagged a sample from Scentbird of Heretic's Nosferatu perfume. So there's a perfume
Nice.
sample and it's sold out. You can't find it anywhere. So if you
Ooh.
want to smell like wet, damp lilac, I think I described it as like
You want to
making
smell?
out in a mausoleum,
I was gonna
freshly
say
rained. Yeah.
you want to smell like a
I'm
crypt? You want a crypt
Yeah. You want to smell
rat?
like a crypt? Yeah. I actually like sprayed it on me before I went to the movie theater today. I'm trying to like Pavlov dog myself. Every time I go to the movies and watch it, I'll spray it. But and my podcast is mainly centered around Ghost. So I threw in if you have Ghost, the EP on CD, I threw that in there too because the cover for it is a beautiful reference to the 1922 Nosferatu.
Yes.
So that is the prize. You have until January 31st.
Get in on that, peoples. If you guys are a fan of Ghost or Nosferatu, go check out Jillian's page. I will link them below and get yourself entered. Wolf, my friend, thank you so much for joining me. I love you so much.
Yes. Love you too. Thank you. Oh, I'm so honored to even do this. Thank you.
All right, we will see y'all next time, guys.